Hey everyone, how's it going? So we're going to take a look at the Figma of Link from The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. So this figure has been with me since launch, and that's been quite a few years now. Once I get this open, I won't be surprised if something wrong happens in terms of breaking of pegs and things like that, just because of temperature fluctuations in storage. So yeah, it has been with me for that amount of time. This is the deluxe version, so it comes with a few different option parts that you can see on the left that the regular version won't come with. I think it's a bit tricky to get the deluxe version now. You probably will get it on eBay. The prices, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think they're okay-ish. Not spectacular, but okay given it's a Figma that came out a few years back. And I don't think they reissued this anything more than once, if they even reissued it that many times. So this is the packaging of this figure, like so here. So again, this is an older Figma. Modern day Figma still retain this sort of package theming with the kind of banner at the bottom and the number of the figure itself, so 320 here. The text in Japanese, plus you've got the English one here, Link Twilight Princess version, Deluxe Edition, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, etc, etc. Otherwise, you've got a window display to kind of show you those option parts included with this deluxe version, plus the figure itself there. By the way, this isn't the first Figma of Link that Figma had produced. There was an older version as well. I can't remember which game that was based off the top of my head. I'll put that on screen. But there, this is the Twilight Princess one. You got side panel showing a photo of the figure there, the back showing loads of photos of the figure, plus the Princess Zelda figure, which I do also have, and I haven't actually unboxed that one either in all this time. And then this showing more photos on the top there, and then the bottom like so. So pretty standard Figma packaging, still retains that sort of look even to this day. I do quite like it though, that kind of pattern work going on the top half. That's pretty cool. But let's get it open and hopefully nothing goes wrong there. So this is Link from Twilight Princess. Remember, this is the deluxe version of the figure, so it does come with a couple of additional parts compared to the regular edition. So because of that, you do get two Figma stands here. So they are exactly the same with a smaller base here. You can kind of see comparison with the Figma logo on it. The only difference or additional part here, you're going to get this tiny little claw piece here. You can see, and you can open that. And you can loosen or tighten the screw here. This is actually going to be used, well, it does display or demonstrate it for one of the weapons, but you can probably use it to also balance the figure too if you want. You can remove that, and then this little peg piece here will go into the back of the figure or on one of the pouches. And I'll show you that towards the end of the video once we get to posing it. So Link has a couple of different hand parts. So the fists are already applied to the figure out of the box, and then the alternate hands are on this little piece here. So you get a pair of open palm hands like so, right hands on the top, left hands on the bottom. And then they have the fingerless gloves, and a little bit of detailing or molding or sculpting on the gloves you can see there on the back side of the hand. This is the front side of the hand. You get a pair to also hold onto the sword. You can use the right hand or the left hand if you want to. You get a single right hand to hold onto the bow. You can see the kind of trigger finger there or the holding finger there. And then you get one to actually hold onto the arrow here. So the arrow actually just plugs in to the actual fingers like that. So it's pretty easy to kind of do, but you only get one of each of those hands. You also get a spare brown color wrist joint, which is nice. Just one, would be nice to get a couple more. By default, the expression on Link's face will be pretty neutral, looking straight ahead. And then he's got two alternate expressions as well. So first one here is going to be him looking ever so slightly off to the up and right, very, very slightly. You can't articulate the eyes or anything like that. And then you got the mouth expression where he's kind of got one side of his mouth gritting his teeth. I'm not sure if that's actually supposed to be a symmetrical expression on the mouth, but it's okay. It doesn't look too bad. It looks a bit weird without the hair. So once you've got this attached to the figure and applied, swapped out, it does look fine. I think once you've got the hair kind of covering his cheeks and jaw, it does look a lot better. You can see there he's got the earrings as well on his big pointy ears, too, both sides. I wouldn't say there's much flex on the ears, but still when it comes to swapping out the faces, just be mindful of the ears so you don't end up clipping them or maybe breaking them at the tip. That would be quite unfortunate. The other face is just him yelling with his mouth wide open. He's got the teeth sculpted and then just pink flesh tone inside his mouth. He's looking pretty much straight ahead, you can see there. Same thing with the earrings there. Be careful when you do swap them in and out because you don't want to snap the tips of the ears. But otherwise, simple face. It does look a lot better once you've swapped them in and out. Like this, it doesn't look as good, but it definitely looks a lot better otherwise. Link also comes with this hawk mask. I can't remember the exact name of this again. This escaped me already. I did look it up. But this hawk mask is an alternate thing that's provided, I think, only for this deluxe version, which is cool. It does look quite good. The eyes don't necessarily align up to where Link's eyes are necessarily when you've attached it to the figure. That's okay. It's something I just realized. I do like the hair sculpt on it. I think it's cleaner than the actual hair sculpt on the figure itself, which is a bit weird. Maybe this is not going to be the case for other people, but it is for mine. I think it's cleaner here. The sideburns on him, on this particular bit, are very, very, like, they have a lot of flex. You can kind of see that, right? So I guess just be mindful of doing it the other way. So you don't want to put your finger and then pointing it outwards in case you bent it outwards, which would just end up looking weird and ruining the overall look of it. But this actual mask sculpt, I think it looks pretty good otherwise. Onto the weapons. So the deluxe version does come with a couple of different weapons. I can't remember exactly what differences there are, but there are differences. So first, he's got his hero's bow and arrow. So starting with the bow itself, it looks quite nice. I like the way the sculpt is. The paint details, when it comes to the kind of metallic look or worn metallic look, it's good, but not anything special. That's just me being nitpicky, though, I'll be honest. So it does look fine. For most people, it's going to be absolutely fine. Otherwise, the sculpt and everything is pretty good on this. It doesn't have the string attachment, which I guess you could just do yourself. But I figure if they've gone through all the hassle of giving us the bow, arrow, and all the other weapons, they may as well have just given the string plus a quiver. He doesn't come with a quiver. He does, though, come with a single bow, like so. The bow is nice as well. The tip of it is very, very cool. And then the edge bit as well, the end bit, is nice as well. You've got this little peg bit here. Well, I'll call it a peg, and that does actually go into the hand that I mentioned earlier on, which is right here. So this is the hand that will use the bow. Just plug that in. All I would say is maybe hold it at the feathered bit at the end, and then just plug that in. It does give slightly, so you may be able to feel it actually insert into the hands, and then that's how it will kind of look. Just be careful when you do it, because if you're going to end up trying to put it into the hand at this bit here, you're asking for trouble and you may end up snapping with it. So keep that in mind. He then also comes with the hero sword and the actual scabbard or sheath with it too. So starting with just the actual sword itself, pretty basic looking sword, but it's a nicely done sword here. So the actual metal bit on the handle looks pretty good here. Then you got the whole blade bit down here. Same thing on the other side too. The handle is pretty good. It's just kind of mimicking like a leather wrap around there. And then you've got the actual end bit here, which is fine. Very basic. It is supposed to be a basic hero sword. You can take that bit off like so and then insert it into one of the sword hands, the right hand or the left hand, or you can just take it off at this bit here, which sometimes gives me a little bit of trouble. And try to take that off. There we go. And then you just insert that. Make sure you don't lose this tiny piece at the end though. So it's best to keep it like that. Insert it into the hand and then place the blade bit back on. I'll show you swapping parts towards the end of the video. So the scabbard is also done really nicely with a lot of detail captured on here with the kind of metal and brass kind of bits here and there, leather strap there, belt buckle there, and looks really good. I really like the way a lot of these weapons and stuff look here. You got a little peg that comes out though, so that's going to be used to actually plug into the back of the figure. Now, I don't know if, I think there could have been a better way to do this because I just don't like the fact that this peg is there. I don't know, I just prefer it wasn't there and there was an alternate way, a cleaner way to have it so it applies to the figure. Maybe a separate attachment. You've also got this little protruding bit here down the center. Now this is actually going to be to kind of, so it doesn't slip, the shield doesn't slip once you've got the shield and this attached to Link itself when he's got it on his back. But otherwise, the sword and shield does look good. You can also, by the way, insert this into the scabbard too, and that's going to be how it looks there. It looks really good in and out. It looks amazing. I really love the way they've done the hero sword. That's great. And then we come on to the master sword. Now this is something I'm not really sure if the regular version of Link comes with, so double check that one. But this is the master sword here. It looks great. I really love the way this looks. The sculpt on it is awesome. Love it, love it, love it. Now starting from the handle bit, again you can take this off right here to just insert it into the right or left hand of your choice, the hands that he's got to hold the sword. And then this is kind of the detail of the green wrap around the handle there. This is the end bit here, just showing you that, but that bit doesn't come off like it did with the hero sword. Then you got the main handle bit here, which is really cool looking. Show you that way around. It looks really good. I love the color on this stuff as well, and the detail on it is very, very nice. It's small, so there's going to be maybe some missing detail, but I love the way that this looks for this particular Link Figma anyway. It looks really awesome. You got a gold detail and accents there too, which look great. And then you got that little icon detail there in the middle of the blade, or starting at the blade bit, which looks good. Hopefully you guys can make that out. That's the same on the other side. And then you got the main portion of the sword itself, which looks very, very good. It's not as silver as the hero sword. Let's see here. It's got a bit of a blue tint to it. I just think this looks really good. Overall, this master sword looks super, super good. Just like the master sword or the hero sword, he does also get the scabbard with this one. So for the master sword, similarly, it's capturing a lot of detail here. I really love the effect and just general sculpt of this. Really well done. Remember, this is quite an old figure as well. So it's to me, in 2022, this is standing up to the test of time. I guess it's only been a couple of years, to be honest, but it's still, I'm still quite impressed with it. definitely have to. I'm quite impressed with it. Looks great. You got the Triforce symbol there in that circular bit there. Then you got all the other gold kind of details going down on just a plain blue. Nice shade of blue though on there. Similar to the hero kind of scabbard, you got that protruding peg bit, which I don't like. I really don't like it. But my opinion is the same as it was for the hero sword. I would have preferred a cleaner way to do this. But in terms of detail, looks great. Just like the hero sword, you can also insert the master sword in here if you want to, and it looks great. And you can, depending on how you've got this posed later on, have it kind of exposed ever so slightly there, which will look very, very cool. All in all, really cool looking swords for both the hero sword, which is here, which is just a scabbard, and the master sword. Really, really good stuff there. Then we come on to the Hylean shield, which I think looks awesome as well. I think it pairs up very nicely with the Master Sword, even the Hero Sword as well. I think it looks great with it. Now, if you're a hardcore Twilight Princess fan, there may be some inaccuracies with the figure. You can let me know down in the comments below. But for me, this is awesome. I really like the way what's going on here. Great looking sculpt, great looking finish, very clean looking stuff overall for this shield as well. Like that red kind of bird pattern is very clean. There's not like anything bleeding or anything. Same with the Triforce. Looks super good here. You got this kind of pattern detail here up top, which I also think looks good. It's nothing major, but I think it looks really, really good. On the reverse side, when you do get it out of the box, you're going to have it look like this. So you got a kind of metal handlebar here and then the leather strap here. You can take both off like so. They're on little tiny pegs. Now you've got circles here or peg holes here, and depending on what you want to do, you can position these in different ways. So how this was here, you can move this to the other side if you want to. And if you actually want to include and position or have the scabbard in there, you can do that too. Similarly, you can actually move this leather strap to different places also. It was down the center before. You can angle it so it's down this way if you want to. Same for that way. So you can position it how you want in different ways depending on how you want Link to hold it. So I guess if you want it in a more angled position, you can do that. So for the handlebar on the back of the shield, it does split at that point there, and then it just goes back on. That just makes it a little bit easier to just equip Link with the shield. You got to slip this bit into the hand that he would use the shield or the sword with. So basically the same hand, right? You've got left and right hand. So it's pretty simple to do. But again, I will show you that towards the option part, swapping option part section of the video. This Link also comes with a claw shot like so. Very nicely sculpted. Pretty good on the detail side of things here. The only complaint, I say complaint, is going to be the actual claw bit here. I feel there's the wash on it is okay. It's kind of giving that worn brassy look. It's okay. At a distance, it's probably fine. But again, I'm just being nitpicky. It still does look quite good. You've got a chain bit going around this bit here, which I think could have been done a little bit better or allow us to use something else, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. But it's otherwise an okay looking sculpt. When I say okay, perfectly fine. It's good as well. You can take this bit off here like so. This is on a 3-prong peg there, so you shouldn't be able to mess that up. And then you got the handle here. Similarly with the kind of bow and arrow sword shield, you would just insert this little peg bit into the hand of choice for Link as well. This does come off here. This is actually patterned, so it only fits in one way into the actual claw shot thing anyway, or the barrel. So it only goes in one way. It's pretty easy to do, and it looks pretty good when you do it. But that's going to be the claw shot. I'm just going to put this back on. That's going to be the claw shot head. This bit doesn't actually open. You can't do anything with that. So that's a bit sad. You can take this off though, like so. This may just get stuck in here, but actually you want to take this peg bit out. This is small, so I'm going to cover it so it doesn't fly over. This is quite small. Now, what happens here is you can actually swap this bit with the open one down here. So let's talk about that open one, which is awesome. That's awesome. This thing comes on a real chained Link. Metal links. Link comes with links. How amazing is that? Now, if you've seen some of my previous videos, for example, or most importantly, the Kingdom Hearts ones for me, I hate the fact that a lot of the key charms don't have real links on them. This guy has a real chain with the expanded claw shot. That, to me, was one of the best things of this figure. I just love the fact that they've given a good quality long chain with this guy. It's so good. Hopefully I don't lose that bit. It is so good. I'm really, really glad this figure came with this. So good. And did not expect it. I could not remember this even came with that. But so good. But talking on the actual weapon. So this is a closed version that I removed earlier. And this is going to be the open version. You cannot open or close these. That's something I would have hoped for. That would have just kind of completed the figure a little bit more. Maybe would have added cost as well. But that would have been so cool if you could actually close these claw bits itself to actually just end up getting this. So then you didn't need to have two separate parts. Just something that I think they could have done. As I mentioned though, it does come with the Link. That's really awesome. So what you would actually do, this bit here you can see, is going to be on a little peg, and you'd get the claw shot there, and then you just actually insert that in like so, and then you can have Link equip the claw shot actually shooting out on real Links. That is so cool. That is so cool, I have to say. What you can also do actually is you can remove the other end that's already applied to the open claw like so, and then attach that back to the base of, or the bulk of the actual claw shot. I'm not going to do it right now, but you would just use that tiny bit. Actually I will, because I don't want to lose it. You just add this in like so, and then you just put this back on. That's really good, right? So the fact that they've given you options for it is really, really cool. Still, I would have preferred you could actually manually close this. I mean, they could have just put metal kind of wiring there or something to close it manually, right? But still, very, very cool. The final weapon this Link comes with is going to be the ball and chain. And check this out again. It's a real chain. How awesome is this? It's a longer chain than the actual claw shot one, but still, it is so cool and awesome. And I love the fact, 100% love the fact, they've given real Links with this. I can't get over it. I just love it. It's absolutely awesome that they've done this. It's just so, so good. Obviously, though, just be careful, because that bit there is not the strongest or thinnest or thickest looking thing. So if you pull too tight or tug too tight, you don't want to damage it. It could happen. It could happen. But yeah, again, really awesome that they're given that Link. So this is on the big ball like so. Details on this ball are really awesome. It's a bit weighty, so you are going to have to use the stand to actually manage this. So you can see there's a peg hole there, and that's actually where you'll plug in the peg hole, the peg from the stand into that, and then position it how you want to. But like I said, details on this thing are really good. I really like the metallic light blue going on here, silvery blue going on here with the gold accents all around. Pattern work is great too. Very lovely looking weapon, and the spikes too. Of course, you've got the spikes. They're not overly spiky, so you won't be able to hurt yourself with this. Very cool. Again, that chain is awesome. And then you got the actual handle bit, which will act just like the same way as the swords, shield, etc. to plug this in to the hand, and it will be great. But that wraps up the ball and chain. I love the fact both those weapons come with the chain. Real Links, awesome. Let's get on to the actual figure. Now, it's been years since I played Twilight Princess, and there may be inaccuracies with this figure. I am not sure of that at this point. If there are, let me know in the comments below. But from what I'm seeing so far of this figure and what I've spent with this figure, I love the way this figure looks. Now, I will say it is a little bit on the plain side. It's very anime plain looking. That's something I personally probably would have preferred a little bit of maybe some kind of color stuff going on, shading going on with his tunic, just to give it a little bit of depth and texturing kind of look to it. But it's fine. It still does look plenty good. And I think his kind of proportions and everything do look plenty good. So starting from the head, I did mention the sculpt on his hair isn't as clean hair that it is on the actual mask sculpt. It still looks good. I just definitely think the actual Hawk mask thing just looks cleaner in mine anyway. May not be the same for you. You've also got the same sort of fragile bang a bit hair as I mentioned with the claw one as well. So I personally prefer it kind of sits and hugs his cheeks a bit more. You could, I guess, use a hairdryer to allow that to happen, but it's fine. You got the ears poking out, which looks great too. This is going to be the end of his hat, which is great. We'll go into articulation in a little bit, but in terms of the way the hat looks, that's pretty good as well. Down to his main tunic, I think that looks really great. You got the actual undergarment, I guess, there with the shirt. Looks great. You've got cross pattern down there, really good. You can kind of see the male armor bit there. Looks great too. You got the shoulder strap, all of that stuff looks really good. A little bit plain, as I said, things will look a bit plain on this figure. Buckles again down the waist. You got the pouches down the side here. You got a large pouch here, which is just on a ball or like that, and then so you can actually move that. It's going to be handy depending on the pose that you get him in. You got the secondary patch at the back there, so this has a little hole in it, and that's where you can use the stand. You wouldn't really want to use it there unless you've got he doesn't have the scabbard attached to his back. So that peg from the scabbard, that would be where it attaches to. If you don't want to use it, yeah, you're free to use that hole with the stand if you want to. Coming down then, so the tunic acts like a skirt down there, which looks good. I will have to say, the inner part, this gold bit here, the texture on it is really good. Like, it's nothing to be, like, it's not something that you want to be really good or necessarily bad, but, like, I don't know, I just really like it. It's great. You can see there's an extended part here that kind of wraps around. We'll get into that more when we get into the articulation, but it feels good and it looks really good as well. Pants look great. I love the kind of detail, the stretching and creasing on the pants. Plain pants for sure, but I love that detail. It looks very good too. Coming down to his boots, those look good too. Again, plain on the paint type of stuff. You've got pattern work going on the back side of the calf here, similar with the other side of the boot too, and then ending with his feet. Now, it's a minor thing, very minor thing, but I really like the way that his boot or feet are sculpted here, they actually really allow him to stand quite well, and they just look really kind of, I don't know, pleasingly shaped, I would say, for these boots. They look quite good. Sometimes you get figures where the feet are just kind of a bit too small and they're sculpted too small, and then it really struggles to balance. With Link, I think it's quite good. It does kind of affect in terms of balance once you've got, say, the ball and chain because of the weight, but generally speaking, yeah, everything looks quite good. I didn't talk about the arms. Let's talk about the arms. So you got the stitching down the shoulders there. That looks good too. You can see some of the chainmail bit there too. And then you got on the left arm, it's just going to be this gauntlet here. It doesn't have this on the right arm. That's got nice pattern work going on, similar to actually the boots. I just realized that's cool. And then that's going to be the other side to it, strapped there. And then on the right hand, it's not going to be any gauntlet. It's going to be the bare version of the left arm. So I guess it's accurate to Twilight Princess in the game. I don't remember off the top of my head. Generally though, as far as the figure's looks go, I think it looks good. As I did mention, it is a bit plain for me personally. Not a bad thing, just something I would desire to have changed in the future. But again, not a bad thing. Still looks plenty good. Now let's talk about articulation, which is quite good. So his articulation is really good for the head looking down, and then up is not bad as well. And then of course looking side to side is quite good. In terms of looking down, actually, so that's just going to be for his downward look, but you can assist it with that neck bit there. You can see like the upper neck bit. You see that? It's very subtle, but it allows for it. So this is quite deceptive. He's got quite a bit of deception when it comes to his articulation, which is really good and impressive. The actual bit of the hat can articulate there too, which is nice. You can twist that all the way around, which is great. His hair's coming off and put that back on. His arm movement is also really, really great. He can bring his arm like pretty much cross over and touch his shoulder. That's really awesome to do. Of course, though, you are going to get a hideous looking gap on the side, but it's interesting to note that let's say he had it like that, you will see the actual under armor bit there, which is not bad. That can sometimes happen. It doesn't happen too much. That's like the second time that's happened to me. You can see it's just on a ball peg there. Let's just do that again. There we go. Yeah, so it looks good. So his arms are great. Really amazing, impressive, perfectly articulate arms there in my opinion. You got a little bit of twist there as well, which is great too. He does also have a bit of a twist at the underarm bit, the white bit there, like so. And then similarly, he also has a little bit at the elbow too, which is great. He can bend his elbow real nice too. And then that kind of finishes off with the hand, which is going to be pretty standard stuff, like so. Same applies to the other arm too. In terms of actual torso is an interesting one because sure, he can lean forward, which is nice. You get a bit of a gap at the back, and then back is also pretty good. Again, you get a gap at the front. He can do all that leaning and twisting at the top part. The bottom part is a weird bit. He has no twist at the bottom part, on my one at least anyway, but he can kind of lean forward if you like. You see that? It's actually at the belt bit there, but he can't twist, but he can bend a little bit. It's like leaning forward a little bit. Weird, very, very weird. Now, the skirt bit is going to be a bit hard to kind of see because, well, it's covering everything, right? But it is quite good. So as I mentioned, this chainmail bit or undergarment bit does wrap around. So what happens is that just extends, and that allows it to still look quite clean once it does happen. Now imagine if that was not extended around or wrapped around, you'll get this split, which can still happen there. There we go. If you lift his leg up too much, but I still think it looks really, really good. I like the way that looks. It just looks super clean. Now, as you can tell, he can sideways kick really nicely, so that's pretty good. And then he can also lift his leg up quite good as well. If you want to do the front way though, where he's kind of leaping frontwards, that's where it's going to be a little bit more restricted, as you can see. I'm going to kind of reset that back. You may have trouble resetting this back because it will widen over time. But yeah, he has a little bit of struggle reaching his, lifting his thigh too high. And then the back is not bad either. So you'll be able to get him into, nice running poses or leaping poses if you want to. It's not bad. It still looks pretty good. But definitely, I think you can get more out of this area than you might think. Knee bend looks like so. So I don't personally like the knee. I think the disc joint here is kind of not great. The color difference is pretty obvious and it just looks weird in general. And then when you've got his knee or leg straightened out, just the back part, the disc joint, just looks weird. It is a Figma thing. They still do that in recent figures. I know Rayhan from Pokemon also has that. It just looks weird. I hope they just go back to balls or something because, I don't know, I do get it, but it just doesn't look that good. But you can cover it, right? You can, depending on the pose you get Link into, you can pretty much cover that quite well. So maybe it's not too bad. Then you get the actual wrist, I always say wrist, but the actual ankle stuff, ankle pivot, and then rotation, which is pretty good. And then ending with the toe joint there. So all in all, pretty good articulation. I do think it's a little bit deceptive though. You can get into different poses. There's my joint, it's come off there. You can probably just snap that back in. That's okay, there we go. Snap back in. I do think it's a little bit deceptive, as I was saying. You just have to play around with it to get the actual pose you want. My joints twisted a bit around there, so I can't reset his leg. So when it comes to articulation, I really am quite impressed with it. I think there's a lot to offer here. It is a bit deceptive, like his shoulders and stuff don't look like they come out that much. Same with his hip area, it doesn't look like his legs will move that much, but they actually move a decent amount and let you get Link into really cool poses pretty naturally and pretty fine. So I'm quite satisfied with the articulation, personally speaking. But let's go on to swapping some parts, which I'm not going to do everything because there's so much to talk about there, but I'm going to do some choice parts. So let's first start with changing the face. So that's pretty easy to do. Take off the front bangs, take off the face, and we'll go with a more obvious one with the face with the mouth wide open, just so that we know we've definitely changed something. There we go. Now you can swap the regular bangs on if you want to, and it will look, you know, like Link, right? Take that off, and then we'll put the Hawk mask on instead. So same thing, grab the Hawk mask. So much stuff that comes with that. Everything's kind of buried now. And there we go. Now, as I mentioned, the eyes here on the Hawk mask do sit further up than his eyes on his actual face do, but that's fine. This is what it's going to look like with that mask. Again, you can swap this with the other face expressions as well if you want to, and it'll look quite good. Just snug it in or get it fit in snugly so you don't see some excessive gaps at the ears or just above the ears. I'm going to leave it roughly for now. Then what we can do is let's have him equip the shield. Yeah, let's do the shield because why not? So we've got the shield. We need to grab his hand as well. So he needs the right hand. So this is that right hand here, and then this bit here. To be honest, you don't have to do it this way. You can do it in other ways, simplified ways if you want to. Just shove this into the hand. If you have trouble with this, if his hands are too tight, use a hairdryer just momentarily for a couple of seconds, and then hopefully that will kind of release or make it easier to push the sword in or things like that. Small parts here, so I'm kind of losing sight of things. Add that in, and then you can get him to hold this. I'm just going to add it this way, and then I'll attach the hand to the peg like so. There we go. Now, if you want to add the strap here, this bit here, you can do that, but to save time, I'm not going to do that. This is what it's going to roughly look like with the Hylean shield attached. Looking pretty good. Like, it's starting to look more complete now, right? Looks very, very cool. Let's add the sword. I think everyone's going to wait for, always been waiting for that. What's he going to look like with the Master Sword? Well, remove that from the scabbard. So we get the other hand, which I have somewhere around here. Here we go. It's handy to have this so you peg everything back together. As I mentioned, you got to pull this handle off, and then you want to feed this into the hand. So you want to feed it in like so. Remember, again, use a hairdryer if this is going to be too difficult. Just momentarily, don't use it for too long, otherwise you'll end up melting or burning or setting fire to things. And then add the hand back in, and then here we go. Looks pretty good. Again, this is all rough because I don't want to waste too much time trying to perfect everything on camera. So he's got the Hawk mask on, the Hylean shield, and now he's got the Master Sword, which looks so good. Once you play around with this figure, even now, it just looks awesome. Once you play around with it even more, you'll get him into some iconic poses, some really awesome, fantastic poses. Really love it. Now, we can also add the scabbard to the back, which we'll do. So it's just on that basic peg there. Just plug that in pretty much basic. I can't see what I'm doing here at the moment, but just add that in like so. There we go. So you got to angle it that way around probably. There, looks pretty good, pretty natural. Because you've got it angled that way, you still expose the pouch here. So if you want to use the stand, you can plug that into this small pouch here, and it will look quite good. So this is just kind of giving you a 360 view of Link holding the Hylean shield, Master Sword, scabbard on the back, and then a Hawk mask, which looks pretty good. I'm going to swap this out now again. Now, I'm not going to do it for every weapon, as I said, but because this is really fun, I'm going to swap it in with a ball and chain because that's super good. Same thing here. This one's a bit easier to do because you don't need to do anything with like the handle. You don't need to pull it off or anything. So now he's got this on. So you will want to use a different stand that's coming with this figure to have this in place or something. But you can kind of see how it would look. Looks really awesome. Just love the way that they included a real chain there. It's super, super good. Now we'll be here forever if I swap in all the weapons that he's got. So I'm going to add that in as extra footage as we come to the end of this video. So it's been another long video for me with an action figure, and this is because this guy comes with so much good stuff. This Link Deluxe version from Twilight Princess by Figma is so good. all the optional accessories are so much fun to play around with that I just couldn't capture this all in half an hour. I wish I could talk about it even longer. I probably could, but it's that good. It really is that good. I don't know why I didn't open this sooner. It is now 2022. This came out in 2017, and this figure still holds up really, really well. I still had a blast with the couple of hours that I spent just playing around with the figure, posing him, taking pictures. Such a good figure. I love the fact that the ball and chain and a claw shot come with real chain links. That's super awesome, and I hope more figures do that moving forward too. The figure itself definitely still holds up to this day as well. Deceptively articulated, or deceptively articulate. His arm range of motion is great. His legs too are also great. I don't particularly like the knee joint. That's still not something I like. They still use it. I don't like it personally, but still overall the figure is quite good. You can probably get this figure off eBay. It is quite old now, but the prices aren't too bad when I checked, late last night, something like that. So probably around $200, which is actually not bad for a discontinued Figma. Let me know what you thought about this figure down below. I'm sorry I'm so late to the party with Link, and hopefully soon I will check out Princess Zelda as well. In the meantime, stay safe and stay healthy. Peace out.